weird. Everything about, again, Vance is weird. Does Vance actually have a problem? And then how about the campaigning using that term weird for Republicans?
Democrats are finally going on messaging and rhetoric offense by correctly labeling Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and MAGA Republican politicians as weird. And it's working so well that many prominent MAGA Republicans are freaking out about it, and Newsmax is also concerned, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, but I'm psyched. As we've discussed, there is a renewed vigor within the Democratic Party and the anti-Trump coalition. Now the Vice President Kamala Harris has become the presumptive Democratic nominee. And President Biden's messaging on social media in particular was really good, but the Kamala Harris campaign seems to be increasing it further still, and we finally have taken the messaging offense. I want to play a compilation of some of how we are describing MAGA Republicans, and then we will get into their reaction to it and their panicking.
Organically settled on a new attack line against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Basically, these guys are just plain weird.
You know there's something wrong with people when they talk about freedom, freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be in your exam room, freedom to tell your kids what they can read. That stuff is weird. They come across weird. They seem obsessed with this.
We're using this fake living room to talk to you about a super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's quite weird.
But what was weird was him joking about racism today and then talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
On the other side, they're just weird. I mean, they really are.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
Weird is the adjective, the correct label that is being used to describe MAGA Republicans, and MAGA is not handling it particularly well. Here's Newsmax seemingly visibly panicking about the effectiveness of this messaging offense.
Using that term weird, by the way, we continue to point that out. Kamala HQ, that's her campaign on X, just put out 3 minutes ago a quote from J.D. Vance of him saying, "I certainly would like abortion to be illegal nationally," unquote, from J.D. Vance. They quoted him on that, the Harris campaign, and calling it, "This is weird behavior." Weird. Everything about, again, Vance is weird. Does Vance actually have a problem? And then how about the campaigning using that term weird for Republicans? Using that term weird by...
Yeah. I should say so. I do think they, in fact, have a weirdness problem. And the proof is in the pudding, folks. It's actually how MAGA Republicans are reacting to this. So think of Vivek Ramaswamy, former Republican presidential nominee, a high-tiered, high-powered troll of the GOP. Well, this is how he's reacting. This whole "they're weird" argument from the Democrats is dumb and juvenile. This is a presidential election, not a high school prom queen contest. It's also a tad ironic coming from the party that preaches diversity and inclusion. Win on policy if you can, but cut the crap, please. So much here to unpack, and we have other clips to play. A couple of things. Again, Vivek Ramaswamy, an infamous right-wing troll complaining about being trolled successfully by Democrats. That's a hypocritical loser move that we should relentlessly mock, number one. Number two, when it comes to insults, as we've discussed on this channel before, MAGA Republicans and the MAGA movement have devastated the notion of civility politics. Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, J.D. Vance, so many prominent MAGA officials, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz. How many of them is their entire persona is insulting the opposition? Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly referred to the Democratic Party as a party of pedophiles, groomers, says that they're evil. Donald Trump refers to his opposition as vermin, as Marxists and communists and radical left thugs. He routinely insulted the physical appearance of not just his opponents, but their loved ones, their spouses. He did so publicly. For every one insult you can find coming from a prominent Democrat against a prominent Republican, you can find 5 to 10 to 20 to 100 coming from a prominent Republican against a Democrat. It is wildly lopsided. So if now you're clutching your pearls about civility politics, if you want any credibility on the issue, the first thing you have to do is condemn the incivility coming from Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, which of course he won't because, again, he's a hypocritical loser. So I love the fact that he's whining about this. And that's how you know this is being very effective. It's gone viral. It's all over TikTok and social media, referring to the Republicans as weird. Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, one of the best social media users and influencers within the Democratic Party, she responded to Vivek. She says, being obsessed with repressing women is goofy. Trying to watch what LGBTQ people do all the time is abnormal. Punishing people who don't have biological offspring is creepy. It's an incel platform, dude. It's super weird, and people need to know. I'll also point out that, yes, we do believe in diversity and equity in the Democratic coalition, in the progressive movement, but it's perfectly okay to call out authoritarian weirdos as authoritarian weirdos, particularly if they're also bigoted, misogynistic, racist, et cetera, and so forth, which is unfortunately so much of what the Republican agenda is. Midas Touch, they have a really good meme out, a recap of the past few days. Guy wearing a MAGA hat. You Marxist, socialist, pedo, communist, scumbag, Satanist, radical left vermin. To which somebody else responds, you're weird. And then they start crying. Yes, it's hilarious, folks. The hypocrisy of these snowflakes. It is fun and important to point out, as we've talked about on this channel. It's useful. It energizes. It excites us. Believe it or not, it's okay to put bullies in their place, especially when they're the biggest political bullies in American history. And indeed they are. Now, Jen Psaki in that initial compilation said, this kind of came up organically, and I suppose it has. But the kind of the pioneer of it is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who is rumored to be one of the people being considered for Vice President Harris's running mates, and I hope he is. If in a perfect world, in my opinion, he would be. He's 60 years old. He's a former veteran, a former school teacher, and he just exudes normalness. But more importantly, here's where he's brilliant. Not only has he exuded normalness and approachability, he is one of the most progressive governors in the country. And his progressive record of accomplishment probably dwarves that of other successful Democratic governors, including Shapiro and Beshear and Whitmer, because this is a guy, as we've discussed in a previous video and in multiple videos in the past, this is a guy who, despite razor-thin majorities in the Minnesota government, has crammed through one important progressive initiative after another, including, by the way, feeding kids, which is really important. So I want to play a couple of clips of Tim Walz kind of expounding on this notion and just hear the charisma and the affability which exudes from this man.
But these guys are just weird. That's who they are. So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people. We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid. But look, and then as you heard this, and one day ago, a poll came out and showed Kamala Harris up 10 points and Donald Trump getting his ass handed to him here in Minnesota. So, sorry.
He's just so good. He is so good at this. I still don't know who I think is the most electorally beneficial vice presidential running mate. A part of me does think that it has to be a Shapiro or a Whitmer because they are governors of swing states, right? And we need to lock these swing states up. But if that wasn't a consideration, you just gave me based on policy and record and approachability, and we didn't have to make very cynical electoral calculations, Tim Walz is the man. He's just got that perfect combination of approachable rhetoric and demeanor and charm and humor, and also the policy accomplishments which go with it. He seems like a kind of guy who's probably moderate by nature, but because he's been given power in Minnesota, not just the governor's mansion, but also, the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court and the state legislature, he's like, you know what? To hell with it. I'm actually going to use this power to benefit the lives of my constituents. And yes, I'll work with Republicans if they want to work in good faith, but damn it, if they're not going to, I'm going to use the power anyway because I have it and they don't. That is a message. That is a winning message. It's a winning strategy. It's a lifestyle and an attitude that Democratic politicians really need to internalize. It's awesome. It really is. So I'm hyped. I hope that Walz is given serious consideration, especially not entirely, but especially because he's also the godfather of this rebranding movement against Republicans. And again, Republicans are clearly not happy about it. But Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and others, they are weird and they are creepy. And they, he also says it in that clip that we have to simultaneously take the threat posed by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance very seriously, and it should be taken very seriously, but also because their fascism is rooted in insecurity and it's brittle and it constantly needs to overcompensate with machismo and invoking fear in others, right? They love it. They love to elicit dread and fear in others. So we have to simultaneously take them seriously and also mock and belittle them every chance we get. I think he's 100% right. And that's why MAGA Republicans are so damn triggered about this. Love it. Love the energy. And let me know what you think in the comments.